square. Now as usual we can start with LHS and prove that it is RHS, or start from RHS, prove that it is LHS. But here there is one simple technique which we can use. Suppose we want to prove that A upon 2 is equal to B. Then we can prove that A is equal to 2B because that is same. These two we can write here. Okay. So if we have to prove that A upon 2 is equal to B, prove that A is equal to 2B. So same technique use here. So write here to prove that. So write here that is to prove that. That means exactly what we want to prove. A plus B omega plus C omega square is equal to omega square into this. C plus A omega plus B omega square. Okay, so use this technique here. We have to prove this. That means we have to prove that this part is equal to omega square into this part. So now this is very simple. Start with RHS. Omega square into C plus A omega plus B omega square. So open this bracket. Omega square into C, that is C omega square. Omega square into A omega, that is A. Omega square into omega is omega cube. Plus B into omega square into omega square, omega raised to 4. Now C omega square, right, same. Omega cube, we know that omega cube is 1. And omega raised to 4 is what? Property is omega raised to 4 is omega. So you can write here omega raised to 4 as omega. In bracket, write that reason. Now check this. What we want A. A into 1 is A. Next we want B omega. This is plus B omega. Plus we want C omega square. That is also here. So this is what? This is our LHS. Here question is find the value of this. As we know properties, this is very simple sum. You can write omega cube 1, you can write omega raised to 4 omega. But here simple method is from these three we can write omega square common. So remaining is here 1 omega cube, and this is omega square, so remaining is omega, and here remaining is omega square. So just write omega square common. Now this is omega square into 1 plus omega square. What is that? 0. So write here 0. 0 into omega square is 0. Okay. Now suppose next question is find the value of omega plus 1 upon omega. So again we can solve by different methods, but simple method is solve by cross multiplication. So omega into omega is omega square. Here upon 1 is there, so 1 into 1 is 1 upon 1 into omega, omega. So simple cross multiplication. Now 1 plus omega square, see here, 1 plus omega square. From these three, two terms are there. So 1 plus omega square is what? Minus omega. So write here minus omega upon this omega. Minus omega upon omega is what? Minus 1. So over.